Inundating me, especially on my social media platforms, which I've been using to talk about events around the country. And one of the events was a launch of a very important and interesting invention on Friday. Bring the man onto the show, you said, because you wanted to hear what he would have in store for us, that he may further explain that invention, that beautiful, beautiful invention that has had a lot of people talking on social media. And as you can see, those images being floated, and some of you will know now very soon what that machine in the background is and who that man in that image is, because I have him now in the studio today. Maxwell Chikumbutso, an inventor of note. Thank you for coming and joining me here on Diplomatic Passport. Well, first and foremost, people will remember you by a very interesting invention that you had before. And would you like to tell us about that invention, the car? What was that all about, and what sort of interest did that generate around the world?
Oh, thank you very much. The electric vehicle invention, it is an invention that we took from the greener power of grid machine. The greener power of grid machine is the machine that birthed the microsonic energy device invention. Later on, we felt that since now we have got a perpetual generator, why can't we borrow the technology and integrate it into vehicle, then see how the vehicle operates. That was the birth of the electric vehicle. That became the first electric vehicle in the world that doesn't need any external recharging, meaning to say it is like a moving generator. You can take it to your rural area, then you can even draw energy from the vehicle to power your house, unlike what is happening in the electric vehicles which are there, where you have to connect it to your house to recharge the batteries overnight. But the electric vehicle is a different technology altogether. We are using radio frequencies. So the electric vehicle and the greener power of grid machine, they share the same common invention, which is called microsonic energy device, a device that harnesses radio frequencies and change it into direct energy. But that is useful.
I will ask about two things. You talked about perpetual energy. What would you like to explain what that is to the ordinary layperson, and to say, what does perpetual energy mean and involve?
Okay, I think in a simple language, perpetual motion, it means something that keeps on running. There are a number of perpetual motion energy devices. Okay, let me try to break it down. According to the Intellectual Property Office, a perpetual motion device, it is a device that uses any type of energy for a certain period of time. That's how they classify them. When we look at the greener power of grid machine, they tried to classify it under the perpetual motion energy device, but we later saw that it doesn't fall under, because a lot of perpetual energy devices that are there, they've got a certain time they will work, and usually they use much energy to generate less energy. That's why they were known as unconventional energy solutions that cannot be used even to power big things. The greener power of grid machine does it in a different way. This is the first technology of its kind that uses less energy to generate huge energy. Therefore, we are deemed as violating the second law of energy in thermodynamics. As we were taught at school that energy is direct proportional. If you need 2, you have to put 2. The greener power of grid machine doesn't work in such a way. That's why we have said we have discovered new formulas, being both in maths and in physics, on how best we can explain energy.
And maybe now that we're talking about that machine, I want you to delve into it, what we saw you launch on Friday. What is that machine and what can it do?
Okay, that machine, we gave it a name, Greener Power Off-Grid Machine. The name Greener, it came because the technology is green energy. No emissions, no consumables, nothing is dangerous on the machine, because what we're simply doing is we're harnessing a radio frequency, natural radio frequency, converted into energy. Therefore, we're not even producing anything that is toxic or dangerous to humans. A Greener Power Off-Grid Machine, it is a breakthrough to science, to say. When it was launched on Saturday, the Thrive team in the United States of America, we met them sometime last year but one, and they sent their scientists from the United States of America to come and validate, to do some tests to see if the machine it is working, it is doing what we said it was doing. After that, they gave us a scientific report which stated that the technology was novel and it was genuine. Later on, they decided to do a documentary. They decided that I must feature in their documentary, Thrive 2, what it takes. Then it was launched last Saturday. So this is the first time in the world to have such kind of a technology that work in such a way. Our machine, the one that we demonstrated, it is a 50 kilowatts, 50 kW to say. That means it is capable of generating 50,000 watts. That energy can power about 10 houses, high density houses in Zimbabwe, according to ZESA. If we allocate 5 kilowatts per each house, and we are looking at around 320 amps per hour, which is huge electricity to say. Before that machine, we did a 500 kilowatt, which is half a megawatt. When we say you have done a half a megawatt from a radio frequency, it doesn't make sense. But when we demonstrated the machine, people, they saw that surely the machine is working, because a half a megawatt can power around plus or minus 200 houses. So you can see what it does from a radio frequency. That's why I said we have made new discoveries that will now have to go hand in hand with the natural laws of physics, also the law of energy in thermodynamics.
And looking at radio frequencies, when people, the ordinary person wants to know, what's this radio frequency that you are harnessing, where does it come from, and is it not finite? Will we not have this machine and one day not have radio frequencies to harness?
You know, when God created the earth, he put some electromagnetic frequencies, as they are better known. I think if you had a number of guys from NASA, when they are going to the moon, they've got a challenge of passing through some microwave frequency energy. So we are taking what God has created. Unfortunately, we have classified the frequency, the particular frequency that we are using, for some security reasons. As you know, that we failed to file a patent because they said we are violating the laws of physics, so it's not industrial applicable. Because of that, we went the trade secret route, where we took some pieces of the machine and classified them as trade secrets, just like what Coca-Cola did.
And you know, this is interesting. People will look at you as a disruptor. You are disruptive in this world, and of course that's what you're talking about when you speak of issues like violating existing laws. And just a bit about you. Who are you, and what did you study? Because people think this is sophisticated material you're talking about. Who is this guy? Who is the man? What did he study? Where did he study?
Thank you for that question. I was born in a very poor family. I did not manage to complete my education. I left school when I was Form 2 second term due to some financial difficulties. I was raised by a single parent, my mom. Later after, I discovered that there was something in me. I started to see visions, and up to until now, I see visions, very clear visions, not even when I'm not asleep. Those are some of the things that I see. And God started to teach me. I believe God started to teach me. I could hear voices. I started to experiment with some electronic components. No one ever taught me what were the names and the uses of electronic components. It was God. My first breakthrough was in 1999 when I did the first radio broadcasting transmitter in Kwadzana. It made the headlines on both the national television, news, and also some radio stations. After that, God kept on giving me ideas. Then I did digital navigation facilitator, which was the first challenging technology. It's a machine which is used to facilitate landing of aircrafts. It calculates where the runway is, how fast is the plane coming to land, which side does it must it have to maneuver to. So it was a challenging technology. I had to learn things like the Doppler effects. How do you use a radio frequency in measuring distance? Those are some of the things that I use in GPSs. Later on, I did my first turbine engine, which was, I took it to the Air Force of Zimbabwe and the Civil Aviation Technical Training Center. Years later, God gave me the vision of the greener power of grid machine. 2009, I completed the first working prototype, which was a 1,200 watts. Later on, I founded a company with Zek Wazara, who was the group CEO for Econet. Then we started to design big machines. 2013.
There's a helicopter there somewhere. Yes. There are drones there somewhere. Tell us about those.
Yes. Years later, I think in 2013, that's where I started. I founded my company, Safe Technologies. Along the way, we did a drone, the first autonomous drone. We are the first people to have done a drone in Zimbabwe and program it. We did a helicopter, the first successful helicopter that flies again in Zimbabwe, using materials such as carbon fiber, alloy materials, both in aluminum and stainless steels, titanium. The electric vehicle, 2015. Yeah, so those are some of the things that we have done, some of the projects that we might want to call successful projects.
And then I do remember on social media there was quite an uproar and an outcry that you then left the country, went elsewhere, and you were received warmly. But people were saying you didn't. They thought you didn't get that sort of support locally at home. That local prophet that you are. Have you been supported locally? Do you think you've been supported adequately here in the country? And if so, how? If not, what else would you have expected?
You know, it's sad, but that is I think it's a painful reality of life. Most of these inventors or people who achieve some other things, they are not recognized in their countries. Yes, I would want to say that I did not get the support that I thought I would get. I've been to Zimbabwe Science and Technologies, so many institutes. I never got any form of support, being moral or technical. Not necessarily mean I was looking for financial support, no. But you see that God brought people from outside the country. The first person that I worked with, like I said, was Zek Wazara. I thank God for him. He did quite a lot. Then later on, I worked with the late Dr. Teddy De Almeida. He was an Angolan. He is the first person who helped me in a bigger way, to say. And his partner, Mr. Luis Kupenala. Then he passed on in 2017. We were recognized in the United States of America, to say, like I have said, you have seen the Americans, they had to come to Zimbabwe. They flown in their scientists. They did a validation. They confirmed the machine is working. They started to help us. We never got that kind of recognition or support here in Zimbabwe. As far as I'm concerned, we have got a number of very educated people. Yes, I thank God for few people. The Vice Chancellor for it, he sits on my board, he's my advisor, Engineer Quinto Kankamo. He is one of a kind, like I'm saying. He came to me, he started to guide me how best I would perfect my technologies. But when we look at a country like Zimbabwe, with a lot of educated people, he was the only one who came. Not even the government came to support. So I think we need to start support our own. It's not easy. This journey has been very long. Sometimes we don't need money as investors. We just need, as inventors, to say, we just need moral support. We just need maybe guidance.
And you've also got a positive story to tell around Tesla. Can you tell us about that story, your journey alongside Tesla?
Yeah. You see, like we know Nikola Tesla was one of the greatest inventors. He's the father of AC electricity, to say. Nikola Tesla, he is the father of frequencies as well. A lot of people, they give credit to Marconi, but it was Tesla who started to experiment with radio frequencies. There is a time that he said the very same thing that we have done, that it is very possible, there is a lot of energy there, but we just need to have the right equipment. Just like an antenna, you have to position it in the correct position, then you can intercept. Though he died, and he said it was ahead of his time. We thank God that we believe that we're the first people who have accomplished the work that he started, because this is exactly what we have managed to do. So it's something that he encouraged me a lot. It motivates me at the same time. And I just thank God for the grace that he gave me this calling to finish that work.
And I like how God is featuring a lot in your testimony and the story of the visions. And there's always this great story that in science, the world of science is littered with atheists and people who don't believe. And you, in your day-to-day workings, come into contact with these people who talk science and remove science from any greater being like a God. And when you tell them this story of what made you, who taught you, you are a student, a direct student of God, you say. What does that do to them? Are they not perplexed by your explanation? Because they're seeing what you're doing is working, but they also don't believe in this gentleman you're talking about on the other hand.
Yeah. You are right, but one thing that I've realized, I've traveled, I've met the great people, to say presidents, scientists. One thing that I've seen is most of them, they know that God is there. And we are vessels. God can do what he wants with one of us at any time. Science is spiritual. That's one thing that I can tell. And I've met a lot of scientists. Science and spirituality, they go hand in hand. What we do, we are like crazy people. That's why maybe we are not received in the societies, because sometimes the things that we think about are things that are outside of this world. That's the spiritual part of it. The grace, the ability to see things in a way where no man can see, you see. So I thank God. Yes, I've got a number of people who said a lot of things about the religion, trying to crush it, but I'm not ashamed, and I always make it a point. It came from God, because how can you explain, for example, what I have managed to achieve? I'm not, I've never been to any university, but right now I've got formulas, I've got equations that I've discovered. I've never done maths at school, so how can you explain things like that? I started in 2007. From 2007 to 2020, there are 13 years. In 13 years, I have came up with about 7 inventions, groundbreaking inventions. I like you asked, we did a drone. Coding, I didn't know what is coding, what languages are used to program a drone. Those ideas, they came from God. To make a drone be intelligent, that is artificial intelligence. when it's flying, it has to know that there's an obstacle. I have to maneuver to this side. So how can you explain those kind of things? So definitely, spirituality and science, they go hand in hand.
Well, Max, I'll also tell you, I actually did mathematics at school. So you're really missing nothing there. Now the person, finally, tell us about you as a family man. Who is Max, the family man?
Okay, I always tell people that the rombe to say my background, left school at a tender age. At 15 years, I was working in farms, trying to help my mom support. I've managed to send my sister to school. Right now, she's a financial accountant. She works for us as the finance director. I said my brother. So that journey, it was a very tough journey for me. And I've told God that I must remain like that. So whenever you're looking for me, I'm always in the ghetto. I like Huadzana very much. You don't get up my bridge. Yeah, that's me. I don't drink, I don't smoke. I'm a Christian. I love God with everything in me. Then I'm just a simple person to say.
I wanted to say, what's with the humility? Because you've done pretty well for yourself. You've amassed a lot of wealth, but you remain that guy, even in the communities. Why is it that you remain that guy? Why are you still? You know what I mean?
You know, like what I've said, a man like me who is uneducated, with nothing, why should I boast? I don't see the reason, because whatever that I have, it came from God. So kanamari nasa kangoda to say that to visa my gift, I'll be nothing. So there's nothing to boast of. That's why I'm just like this, because I'm a vessel. What I believe, mine, it is a calling, just like what doctors in the field of science. So I'm just fulfilling what God sent me to do on earth. There is nothing whatsoever that I can take credit and say, because so I must be like this. No, I'm just a simple person, and I like it that way.
And we like it that way. You're an amazing person. Thank you for coming. And I will tell you, I know there's going to be a lot of feedback on this conversation that we've had, and certainly we shall be having you at least another time here on Diplomatic Passport. And I know there, wherever you are, you've got burning questions. Certainly we shall try and put our finger on the man yet again to have those questions that you have for him presented to him, so that he may respond to you directly. But today, this has been an amazing episode of Diplomatic Passport, where I've had Maxwell Chikumbutso here, the inventor, so that he would answer the questions that, of course, you had posed to me earlier on. And for those who wouldn't have sent those through, it's because you don't have my Twitter handle. Get in touch on my Twitter handle at Zimrobbie, that's ZIMROBBIE, or my email address, robinkondiwa@gmail.com. And certainly we shall be using that feedback as we go forward. Certainly it's been a great time hosting you here, Max, and we hope to see a lot more coming from you, and all the best of luck.